Alright, everyone, open your books to page 142. Read the first 3 paragraphs quietly, then answer questions 1 through 5.
Hey, Ariel, I don't understand this at all.
Too many big words.
Hey, everyone, we are going to share a little bit of the summary of Carrie's Chapter 5 to help you guide students on reading really dense paragraphs or longer texts so that it is a little bit less daunting and intimidating for students, and there are some extra helpful tips that we'll have to make it a little bit more fun for them as well. Okay, team, welcome aboard our World Studies Tour. Let's explore what this chapter is about before we start reading. What do you notice in these pictures? What do you think social class might mean here?
I see different houses. Maybe it's about rich and the poor people?
Exactly. And look, bold words, headings, and captions, they give us clues before we even read a full sentence. The first strategy that a teacher might use is called a text tour. A text tour helps students identify a lot of the main ideas and points of the text, the reading, or the book without deeply diving into reading the words itself. So the teacher will act as like a tour guide, but this time it's a text tour. She or he will point out the different pictures, headings, the bold words. Maybe it's a vocabulary word that's highlighted, and they'll have a discussion about what the kids or students might infer about what they are going to read. And this is a really good first step in introducing the topic without overwhelming the students too much about all the words that they see on the page.
When I see this heading, I think the chapter might be about different jobs or incomes. Let me read these first sentences to check my guess.
The second strategy that makes reading a little bit more digestible for students is called the Think Aloud modeling strategy. And here, teachers play a really active role in sharing their thoughts out loud with the class as they're reading a chapter or a paragraph or whatever text it is. So instead of summarizing a paragraph and telling the class what they just read or what it means, they take a step back and really dissect each level. They share how they reached the conclusion instead of what the conclusion is. And it also helps students because it tells them and teaches them how to think rather than what to think. So then they could also figure out the text on their own. Remember, in each circle, write one key idea from the section, and underneath, add one interesting detail. You can draw or write questions if something's unclear.
Think about the difference between reading a long passage and looking at a simple visual map. When students only take notes, key ideas get buried in lines of text. But with a graphic organizer, 3 circles for main ideas, arrows for connections, they can see how concepts fit together. For example, in a science unit on ecosystems, one circle might say producers, another consumers, and the third decomposers, with lines showing how energy flows. For English learners, this visual structure bridges language barriers. They can jot keywords or even smaller drawings while processing in both languages. Organizers make abstract ideas visible, concrete, and easy to remember. Perfect scaffolds for later writing or discussion. Can we write in our language too?
Yes, absolutely. Write it however you understand it best first, then we'll talk about it in English.
When students read difficult text alone, weaker readers often stop at the first unknown word. Pair reading turns that struggle into teamwork. Picture 2 students sitting side by side, one stronger reader, one newcomer. They take turns reading paragraphs aloud, pausing to clarify. The bilingual student summarizes in their first language, the partner nods, and they continue together. Using the first language this way isn't cheating, it's bridging. It ensures comprehension, builds confidence, and keeps everyone moving forward. Plus, reading with a peer creates accountability and a sense of shared success, a powerful motivator for language learners.
In my country, my uncle worked on a farm growing soybeans. It was really hard work, and our family didn't have much money.
Yeah, it can be hard to move on to a better class if people don't give you a fair chance. My family back in Vietnam would rely on selling coconut water, and it just wasn't enough.
You are both right. Education and good jobs can help people move up, but sometimes unfair treatment or prejudice can still hold them back. That's an important idea, and it connects to what this chapter is teaching us.
Textbooks often describe complex ideas like discrimination or economic inequity in very abstract language. But when a teacher shares a real story, suddenly the text comes alive. For instance, Karen, the teacher in our case study, told her students about growing up poor and facing biases in Georgia. That one story sparked deep discussion. Students from Korea, Mexico, and Thailand began sharing their own family experiences with poverty and language discrimination. This personal narrative turns the classroom into a community of storytellers. Students connect emotionally, and the difficult vocabulary gains real meaning. It's no longer just social class, it's our lives, our voices, our shared humanity.
So the Guatemalans used the grinding stone. Wait, maybe they were mining while grinding corn. Learning a new language can feel risky. Students worry about pronunciation, grammar, or being laughed at, so they stay silent. Humor changes that. When the teacher laughs with students, not at them, the classroom becomes a safe place. In Kara's class, for example, when students misread grinding stone as grinding stone, she turned it into a joke. She drew a smiley face on a rug and pretended to grind corn with it. The class erupted in laughter. That moment didn't just teach vocabulary, it built trust. When students laugh, they relax. The relaxed students take linguistic risks. They talk more, experiment, and grow faster. As we like to say, when students can laugh, they can learn. Let's go back and see the big picture. These 6 strategies, text tours, think alouds, graphic organizers, pair reading, personal stories, and humor, work together to change not only how students read, but how they feel about reading. We have before and after sections on our slides. In the before section, the traditional classroom is gray, silent, and teacher-centered. In the after section, the classroom is colorful, interactive, and student-centered. Reading is no longer about decoding every word. It's about building meaning collaboratively. When students understand, they engage. When they engage, they develop both language and confidence. And that's the heart of teaching, helping students not just to read the text, but to live it.